Hi, my name is Faith Shepherd, and this is our debate on whether or not violent video games should be protected by the First Amendment.
My name is Jevin Smith, and I believe that violent video games should not be protected by the First Amendment because companies are actively selling these games to children knowing the risks. And on top of that, these violent games cause mental and behavioral issues in minors because of the content in these games.
Okay. You said that it causes mental and behavioral issues.
Yeah.
I found a study, um, a 2021 study called Video Games Frustration, Violence, and Virtual Reality. And the results of that study stated that it only partially supported the frustration that it gave kids frustration, but there is no connection to violent games and like violent tendencies. And also, if you really were to say that visual art gave kids mental issues, then something like paintings would give violent or graphic paintings would give kids violent tendencies. I think violent video games should be protected by the First Amendment because there is no one definition of what violence is. In the dictionary, the violence is defined as behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something else. By that definition, if we wanted to apply violence, it could really be like something simple as shoving, because which is intended to do damage. So really, by the court system, violence shouldn't be defined because something as simple as like Minecraft could be defined as violent because there are like attack methods in that game, but there's really no violence. In order for people not to abuse that definition and label any and everything as violent, that's why it should be protected by the First Amendment. Really, it should be up to the consumer and not up to the courts.
I do agree that you can see it in multiple places, like this type of violence, whether it's in like a super violent video game or one that's like supposed to be for children. I think that's one of the issues, the fact that it's everywhere, that children can experience it in almost any game, any form of violence, whether it's shoving or something much more extreme. I think that's what has made everyone, including children, minors, so numb to it, and so it's become so indoctrinated and so like in our society or in the digital world of gaming that we don't even see it as an issue. Similarly with like, and how that leads into behavioral and mental issues. There was a study done in 2018 where they were monitoring children that play video games. Some played more violent ones and some didn't. And it showed that these children would pick up and almost act out according to what the game was saying. So if it had like shooting, stabbing, killing, these children would be seen acting that out away from the game. And they're also showed to be more aggressive. And on top of that, with children that already had behavioral, mental, or learning issues, these were seen even more in those children because of these violent video games.
Well, I do understand that children can be affected by these video games. Sometimes they need to be affected. Like some video games could be deemed as like violent or graphic, but really they have a deeper social message in it that could be shown through violence. Like in a court documented case, Brown versus Entertainment Merchant Merchants Association in 2011, the Supreme Court ruled that a California law prohibiting the sale or rental of video games to minors violated the First Amendment law. This is because the material in it could have a deeper message in it, which parents could deem that they don't like that message, which is prohibiting kids from exploring their mind and think for themselves. And it also prohibits people from expressing themselves because video games is an art form.
Okay. I like that you brought up the fact that there could sometimes be a deeper meaning in these games that we deem violent, or that might have too many graphic things that shouldn't be seen by children. And so, with that, I wanted to ask, do you think that it's worth the risk, the meaning of whether it's friendship or loyalty or anything like that? Because I have played games that have a deeper meaning than what you see on the surface, and to say that that is worth it, like them seeing these things that most people wouldn't even see in real life, that it's worth to allow them to play these games at such a young age. What do you think about that?
I think it depends on the audience, truly, because if you were to play a game that had themes of police brutality, a white parent's child could deem it as too violent, when really that is some children's everyday lives. So if some children don't experience it, other children can see it and see how it affects their peers potentially. So I think it really depends on who the audience is, and really look at why you would think certain themes are too violent.
To conclude my argument, I think that violent video games should not be protected by the First Amendment because of the risks, like I said earlier, that it has for the consumers, and the fact that these companies understand these risks and they still continue to sell these games to inappropriate audiences, knowing the problems that it can cause in the consumer's life.
To conclude my argument, I believe that violence shouldn't be defined by court systems, but it should be protected because other people's opinions could get in the way of real freedom of speech.
To conclude and speak over the topic as a whole, there are many factors that contribute to this debate of violent video games being protected by the First Amendment, most of which are based on living conditions and lifestyles and perspective of the audience.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll both see you in our next video.
Peace.